My man,
My guy.
can you hear me?
Hear you a little bit. Hear a little bit. Let me work on some on my end.
Okay.
What's good, my guy?
Man, can't call it, man. Just trying to, fight the Rona, man. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I get it 100%, man. I get it 100%, man. This thing right here is something else, bro.
Yeah. And crazy thing is, it's like I had the joint. I just fought it off. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
No.
I didn't get tested for it. But what happened was I had it for like 13 days. And I told my wife right before I went to bed, I was like, man, I don't feel good. I'm about to get sick. So I woke up the next morning with a crazy, crazy headache. And I thought I was dehydrated. And then my stomach started hurting. So I went to the bathroom. I thought I had a stomach ache. So I had a fever. I had chills. For about 5 or 6 days, I had a fever. Once my fever, I felt like it's starting to break. Like I woke up that first morning too, also with a backache, real bad backache. Like I felt like my bed was messed up, but like I could barely move and barely walk because my back was hurting so bad. So I ended up going to the doctor. The doctor said that I didn't have the flu. They couldn't test me for corona because I didn't have the respiratory coughing and all of that stuff. So I sweated through 3 pair of clothes 2 consecutive nights. Had to change clothes because it was like a puddle of sweat in my bed, and I mean it was bad. And then I lost taste. I had headaches a lot, and I had chills for a while, and then I had like really really bad fatigue, and I didn't have an appetite at all. So it ended up being pretty good for me now. Now I'm worried because I'm like I got a little cough that I've been coughing, so I'm like, man, what's going on? But everything's been cool though, man. I'm better. I'm back. I took my 2 boys to the gym yesterday, worked them out. You know what I'm saying? I feel good enough to do that. We'll probably do um, a street workout when we get done here in a little while later on this afternoon, and maybe do a little bit of running or something like that to keep them squared away.
Wow, wow, bro. I didn't even know it, man. I just
No, it's all good, man. You're busy over there, and I was laid in bed for about 10 days, and then I had to get up and had to just get moving, man, and make sure I felt a little bit better.
wow, bro. I'm glad you and the fam good, man. That you ain't got rid of this Rona, man. It's interesting because my brother's a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He was just he told me he told us excuse me he told us about 2 months ago. He was like, "Say, man, y'all need to order some masks, get as much food as you can." I'm like, "All right, bro." On one end, I was like, "All right, bro, come on now, really." And then, but when I looked at his track record for making strong recommendations on the medical field, I was like, "Okay, this dude, let me take heed to what he's saying." And it was just like, it's crazy. It's crazy, For me, I mean, dude, I, I was just talking to Gip.
Oh, for real?
Me and Gip were just chatting. And, I was just like, it's interesting that everything came to a stop. We've never seen this in our lifetime, and I don't think
No, never. And I don't know if we'll see it again. I mean, we probably will see it again because we'll end up with a virus like this again. But people will do something different this time, I think. You know what I mean? But you're right; it's unprecedented times.
yeah, wow. So man, kind of, I know it's been a minute, man. I know we got the Rona,
Yeah. And
Well, that's why I got my hat on because I'm up
I
here
cut
looking
my
at you.
own. I've been cutting my hair since 2008, but
Right.
I'm like, man, I'm not going anywhere. I don't care who sees me, so I'm just gonna let it just do what it do, and then when it's time, go get back corporate with it.
Wow, man. So that's what's up, man. So kind of go into your basketball experience, your playing background, kind of go over that.
Okay, yeah, cool. Well, I'm from a small town in Western Tennessee, Trent, Tennessee. Obviously, I know my teammates, whatever. I always called it T-Town, but had a pretty good career there. Went on and I was a Mr. Basketball finalist there. Went on and played at Austin Peay. Obviously, with you as a teammate, great friend. after that, I went into coaching. I played basketball ever since I was in the 7th grade. And, just recently, last year, I got my jersey retired at my high school, and I got elected into my county's Hall of Fame. I think I'm the first basketball player from my high school, maybe second basketball player from my high school to ever get inducted in the Gibson County Hall of Fame, and the 6th jersey retirement, third guy that ever had his jersey retired at my school. So I was very blessed and fortunate for that. And then I moved on. I've coached almost too many places to name, but I mean, I've been UT Martin, UNC Greensboro, High Point, UNC Asheville, UNC Wilmington. Had an opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament, win a couple of championships there. University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, came back home to Tennessee. That took a very unexpected turn. Ended up, my boss took a job at UMass, left a couple of us behind. I mean, that's the nature of the business. Found out basically that my boss was interviewing on Twitter. Didn't have any idea that, a few days later I would lose my job, with a pregnant wife. She was 6 months pregnant at the time. So, obviously that was very, crazy. Not many people know this story. It's probably the first time I've ever really told this story like publicly. But, we ended up staying in a hotel for 2 weeks because we were in between whether we were going to, break our lease or end our lease and then move. Thought I was getting ready to take a job in Florida. That ended up not working out. So through God's grace, we were able to, find an apartment to stay in. And then fortunately, obviously, with God, staying with our faith and being steadfast, he presented me with an opportunity at Life University to be a head coach. I wanted to be a head coach before I was 40. I thought I was going to be a Division I head coach, but God saw it a different way. And right now I'm very happy where I am. And I was able to get that job before I was 40, right before I was 40. So very blessed, very, very exciting times going on where I am. So there's no complaints for me.
Oh man, I didn't even, I didn't even know to that extent, man. I think a lot of times, Kay, people see where you are, but they don't understand what sacrifices, mentally, spiritually, how that impacted you. Anybody, man, they just see, oh man, he a college coach, and they see that, but they don't know kind of the backstory behind it, man. I think if that was known, people would appreciate it a little bit more.
For sure.
So, and I just think, man, that, and it's crazy, man. But but that's a testimony of your persistence and your steadfast to what you said you wanted to do. So, man, how did y'all do this past year?
We did not have a great year. Last year we won 19 games and got to the conference finals. In my first year, lost to the eventual national champions. Got snubbed from going to the national tournament. This year, we had some challenges, but we didn't win as many games. We won 12 games this year, and got a win in the conference tournament. But we ended up, I had to, release one of my best players. We had some injuries, and then I had a lot of youth. And the league that we play in is arguably the toughest small college league in the country, including Division IIs. We are obviously an NAIA program, and we play the number 1 team in the country was in our league this year. And we basically on a night out basis are playing against Division I transfers, Division II transfers, junior college transfers. So it's not a league for young kids. I mean, so to speak. We brought in 6 freshmen this year, which was unheard of. And they were really good kids, really talented, but they weren't ready to play against 24-year-olds every single night, 23-year-olds who've been through the ringer and things of that nature. So the year wasn't where we wanted it to be in the win column, but I think, our team grew. We had an opportunity to have some guys to get some major minutes that will help us next year. And we're excited about the future of the program and where we're headed.
Cool, man. That's huge, man. Youth, especially if they can take their lumps and bumps and bruises now and then build on it. I think that we were just in a program, similar situation, man. Hadn't been to the playoffs in 20 years,
Wow.
and I mean, 20 years. Excuse me. Yeah, about 20 years, man. Um, and so I've seen it happen. And the kids now, man, they just finished off. They lost by 1 point
Mm.
to the top team in the country, and they were number 20th in the country this year.
Wow.
Yeah, and they lost in overtime.
Mm.
Overtime, they missed free throws. But I said that to say that I can relate to that, like that perseverance, and I think everything works out. I think you will see that same production or success that you had when you had the transition and everything. You'll see that transpire there, and I'm just hoping that the people in the position actually uh, allow that, because I've seen it, man. When we had our issues at Austin Peay, we don't we we've had some times at Austin Peay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ups and downs.
It may kind of build us to where we are now, man.
For sure.
So it's a beautiful thing, man. So what's what's some of the pitfalls you see in the college game from coaches, from players? What's some of the pitfalls?
Well, I think, one of the things, biggest pitfalls that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and I don't mind addressing it, is a lack of Black coaches, and Black administrators. And obviously I'm all about advocating for the young Black coach that doesn't, get the respect that they deserve, or get chances. And until we're able to get African Americans in, leadership positions to be able to have a chance to hire, other Black coaches and things of that nature, we're not going to be able to elevate ourselves, and we're not going to be able to have more, African American coaches. And until we get people that are willing to speak out on it and are not afraid to speak out on it, we're not going to be able to create change. That's a big pitfall for me. I think a lot of times people think, another pitfall in college, especially college basketball, is it's not a merit-based deal. Like, you could be the best coach in the world, and you may be at, an AI school or a Division II school, Division III, and you will be better than some guys that are at, Kentucky, Duke, and places like Kansas and places like that. But you will think sometimes that you're not, because they're where they are. You know what I mean? So a lot of times you have to take a step back and say, this is the path God has me on. I'm not going to run this person's race. But you also have to let yourself know that it's not a merit based. None of this stuff is how good you are. I know you've done a heck of a job coaching, and you're probably are very capable of being a college coach yourself. I don't know if you ever have any aspirations for that, because you got other things going, really good things going. But I said it to say, like, you could be better than some people out there. They just had the better network, or they had an opportunity. You know what I mean? They got an opportunity that was either given to them, or something, obviously people work for it and things like that. But it's just not merit based. And a lot of times people look at people and they revere people, but it's not because they were great. It's not because they did something special. It's because they just had a better opportunity. Pitfall, real quick, you talk about with players. I think the transfer, obviously I'm not gonna lie to you, I love the transfer portal, but the transfer portal I think it's become a circus. I think, I'm an advocate for kids having an opportunity to go places and have a chance to transfer and go to a different school if it doesn't work out for different reasons. But now what you've got is, you've got people giving these kids bad advice to begin with. So they're choosing a school for the wrong reasons, or, the coaches are telling the players things that when they get to school don't add up. So they lose trust. Then you have coaches that leave for other jobs. So, there's a lot of different things in a lot of areas, obviously, in the recruiting aspect of it. But, the transfers has become an epidemic in college basketball, and it's becoming a game changer.
Got you. Okay. Well, when it's interesting you talk about that, man, because I was at a program, man. I was in there for 3 years as the freshman coach, And the actual head coach at the time, she was like, look, he said, can't tell everybody this, but you're the best coach on this staff.
I'm sure.
She was like, player development, X's and O's, you connect with the players very well. I said, yeah. I said, I appreciate it. And the interesting thing, man, I stayed persistent, talked to people, and I was promoted to the head coach. And yeah, it was very interesting because from my knowledge, my understanding, my research, I was the first black head coach of the program, and that was unheard
Wow.
of in that place.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, and I tell people it really don't matter to me, but to it's a treacherous. This coaching thing is
Ooh.
it's and I tell you this too, K, man. I talked to my wife before about it, man, but I don't think I'm gonna coach in the school system anymore. I don't.
Really? Wow.
I've things are going really well, especially before Corona. Even now, we done took it physical to doing. Now we're doing virtual sessions. I train people from not just my location. So it's like for me, it made more sense. Like I would volunteer more time. I love it. I love working with kids, but I would volunteer more time working in the UIL school system compared to working my own.
Mm.
And it just, I love it. And you know, uh, I'm leaning towards that. Even before this Corona, I was strong with it. Now I'm still there, but I haven't solidified. But I've been doing this for 11 years, and I think strong base, and I think a couple things work out. I'm like, and I
Yeah.
think it, yeah. So, and that's, I mean, I had college aspirations and things like that, but I think a couple situations, I'm like, you know what? I told my wife, I said, you know what? They can take this from me anytime they want. They don't like something I say.
Yeah.
It don't have to be out of line, but it could be if I don't comply with Geppetto, they can let me go. I said, let me create a legacy or something of my own where
Mm-hmm.
like they can't take this. This is one thing they cannot take
Absolutely.
where they give it to me.
Right.
And sometimes they hate it because like, hey man, this right here ain't got nothing to do with you.
Right.
And that's where I'm at with it. So
That's
and
good.
so that's where I'm at, Kay. It's kind of like a leap of faith, waiting on a few
Yeah.
things to transpire, and you're like, you know what? it's
I like that though. You gotta have and it's not even a backup plan. It's something that like you said, no one can take away. It's something that you've worked hard for. And at the end of the day, like you can wake up every day knowing that you're gonna be okay because you put the work in, you put the time in, and it's yours.
the Bible says your gift shall make room for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think, I was talking to my wife. She's like, ready for a gym? I'm like, don't play. Don't play with me. Like last year, K, most of my events sold out. Most events sold
Wow.
out. And so it's like, if I can just appreciate the little things. So, but getting back on track, man. But I'm seriously considering, but like, you know what? I built it up. Y'all got it. But let me try this on my own. But yeah, man. So, yep. So outside of your basketball needs for the program, what sparks you be like, man, that's the type of player I
you know, Coaching as an assistant is a little bit different because like you go out and you find the best players and you tell them whatever you can to get them to come. And then like being a head coach, for me, when I first got the job, I had 7 scholarships in July. So it was almost like, I mean, obviously for lack of better terms, but like, did you shoot anybody? Did you kill anybody? You got any charges? Okay, come on and play. Like it was like that. So we had a really good year, but I had some issues with guys not buying in and just doing things that they're not supposed to do. Not bad kids, but just doing things they're not supposed to do. So next year I said, okay, I'm gonna get unbelievable kids with no baggage, no this, no that, and we didn't win as much. So I'm like, okay, the first group wasn't as bad. So now like what can you deal with as a coach? For me, my non-negotiables is being competitive and being unselfish. You want to have kids that have a competitive nature, competitive mindset, because then when things go wrong, then they won't be competitive. You want to have guys that are, obviously are team guys that want to do things, for the betterment of the team. That's what we preach with our culture all the time. But if for me, like I don't, obviously athleticism and talent's huge. Like you gotta figure that out and try to get the best that you can possibly get. But you want to make sure that you find guys with a competitive nature and character that when you go to bed, you're not worried about your phone ringing and something happening. I always look at it, it's like, okay, I got 3 boys. It's like, could they babysit my boys? You know what I'm saying? If I don't feel like they will be an influence around my kids when my kids come around, because I try to bring my kids around some. If they're not, then they're probably not a good fit.
Got you, man. Got you. What's your thought on social media presence for people that you're interested in or has caught your eye, has started the business courtship?
Yeah, I think the social media thing is huge. I started out when Facebook came, and I started recruiting kids via Facebook. That's probably before a lot of people did it. It was a kind of a loophole. You couldn't call kids or text kids, but it wasn't a rule. You couldn't Facebook message kids, and they started bringing it on their phone. So I started doing that a little bit. It was a gray area or whatnot. But it also, what it did, it allows you to. That's the way they like to communicate. There's some kids that, opposed to sending a text, they'd rather you message them on IG, or message them on Snap, or message them on Twitter, like, because that's how they communicate. And it's different from like our recruiting process. When we came up, it was no texting. You call us on the phone, and if we're not at home, you're not gonna get us most of the time. Probably with cell phones as you was coming up, because I'm a little bit older than you, but it's still, you know what I mean? Like it's still, it was different. And also too, it's like now you can monitor the type of character that the kids have on social media. I'll quickly find you on social media if I'm recruiting you before I even get a call to you, and I'll go down your social media page and I'll see, what you're tweeting about. And a lot of times I think there's a lot of good information out there to kids now where they're really paying attention to that, because what you're doing is it's your brand. So like if your brand is putting crazy things out there, then you may have a coach that deters. Now I can tell you a great story. I don't know if you remember Frank Mason that played at Kansas. Worst social media page you ever see when he was in high school. Okay, he played in our AAU program years ago when I was coaching AAU. Worst one I've ever seen in my entire life. And if you're a coach and you see that and you don't at least say, you know what, he's 17, he's 18 years old, he's immature, let's try to change him. He goes to Kansas, and if you look at his social media page now, it's or why he was at Kansas, it was all about like, it was nothing like, it was like a complete 180 turn. You know what I mean? It went from now you get uplifting, now you get quotes, now you have him thanking people, now you see a lot of gratitude. And to hear him he got his degree, and to hear him talk and things, and the way things that he learned, if someone said, I'm not going to take a chance on him because of the social media, then you take a chance of not being able to help a kid grow. And that's why for me, it's not an end all be all. If your social media, you got some crazy things on there, because I think as us being mentors to the youth, we can help them with that. We can help them see it, because a lot of times they just don't see it or understand it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think, and just, but that talent got to be there. If you act showing out, you showing out on the negative tip, and you marginal, that's an easy way to get overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah. Overlooked or sent home.
Sent home, yeah. So, Kay, talk to me, man. What is a typical day for what's a typical day for a college coach or a player?
Okay, I can run down the players first. Depending on what time you have weights or conditioning, I know that a lot of times people like to get their conditioning over, so you might get them up at 6 o'clock. Let them get a workout in at 6 o'clock with the strength and conditioning coach. 6 to 7, probably about an hour 15. Give them a chance to go get breakfast. Maybe go take a nap, depending on where their next class is. Get up, they go to classes. If obviously freshmen, sophomores are guys that are not doing great in the classroom, high risk guys, they would be in study hall. They would do study hall for a couple hours, and then they go to study hall. And if they have time to go to class, or not time to go to class, but in between class and practice, if they have another class, then they can go to class. If not, they can go back to their dorms, study, library, things like that, then come to practice. And then some people have classes after practice. You practice for a couple hours, then you go, to your class after practice, go to the caf and eat dinner, and then go home, and you do it all over again. And I mean, as well as I know, like, it's the first couple times you do it, it's like, wow, like I knew it was going to be different, but like, I don't have time to be a regular student. Like, you got people that go to class, and next thing you know, they like out on the yard running around. You don't have the energy. You can find the time if you're disciplined enough to get your stuff done. You can find the time, an hour here and there, but there's just no time because you need to rest, and then you're doing it all over again. So the first 2 weeks of a college student is very, very trying. A typical day for coaches is, we come in. A lot of people, think, you coach in college basketball and you just go to practice and you go home. Like, the business of college basketball is very, very, it's very time consuming, to say the least. We come in, I meet with my staff usually around 9 a.m. every morning. We'll talk about academics. We'll talk about, what our players need, what we want to work on individually, and what we want to do in practice. Then our coaches will leave and they'll go recruit, and then I'll, do things, check on our budget, make sure, do we need new uniforms? Work on, obviously we're traveling. So I'll meet with one of the assistants about, hey, we're traveling here. What bus are we taking? Or are we taking vans? Or, where are we eating? What time we checking in the hotel? What time is shoot around? What time is practice at that gym? So, we work on all of that. And by that time's over, you have players coming in and out of your office just to hang out and talk. You may give some individual workouts depending on the day, and then you head to practice for 2 hours. Then after that, I usually meet with my staff, and we'll just debrief about what happened in practice and who was good, who wasn't, some of the things that we can work on to get better individually as players and as a team collectively. And then by that time we go home, and the job's not done. We're still on the phone recruiting and talking to people and things like that. So it's a grind. It's a challenge. It never stops. Recruiting never, ever stops. Now, recruiting at this level is a little bit different because, the players that we tend to get that will help us be difference makers for the most part, we have to get those in June. The transfers and things like that will be June, July, maybe late May before those guys decide to come. So that's pretty much a typical day. Obviously the guys get a chance, they go to the training room and rest their bodies and get some treatment and things like that, definitely after practice. And sometimes they do it before practice as well.
The interesting thing, man, I say some people don't understand. They look, and oh man, you just go hoop or you just go play ball. It's kind of like the teacher situation, the education now. It's like people be like, oh man, you just teach kids and you go home. I say it's interesting, that people have their own opinion, educated information. But then when you put in a situation like now, parents have to be teachers.
Yes. Yeah.
You kind of see that. So, yeah, man. So, man, what's your thought? What's a couple benefits, man, from the AAU, how it is now, how compared to how it was, and how does it benefit you in your program?
It's been interesting. I didn't play major AAU. I played for a small team personally. So it personally didn't help me from a recruiting standpoint, but it helped me, play with different players and see different type of talent as to what I always see in my small town. You know, I coached AAU, so I was, and I coached some guys that are in the NBA now and things like that. So it's seeing that playing, those guys on a super high level, tournaments and things like that. They get to play the best, and obviously, if you're with a shoe program, you get a lot of gear and stuff like that. But it's very, very, it's important for kids to play, in my opinion, to play AAU because what happens is it gives you more exposure. And those guys that play at to play AAU, their recruitment got up. They had a chance to be highly rated players and have a chance to get exposure that we didn't necessarily get back when we were going because they didn't necessarily have the shoe circuit. For us, we don't really go. Life University, we don't really go to AAU tournaments because for the most part, we don't want to spend that money there. We don't have the big budget, so we can't go, this place, fly this place. We'll go to some local events and things like that and try to look at some guys for the future. But we don't typically travel all over. So like for us, we're doing a lot of recruiting through, contacts and through emails and, things like that. That's kind of how we do a lot of our recruiting. But the AAU scene, obviously, it gets a bad rap. They had a show called The Scheme on HBO that people have talked about, with people paying players and things like that. I mean, that stuff goes on. We know it does, but I think AAU gets a bad rap. What you have is you have a lot of guys who are not, they're not, that's not their job. Like they go to work and they come and they spend their time even away from their families, coaching kids and mentoring kids and taking kids to tournaments and taking kids to showcase events and things like that. And they don't get enough credit. A lot of people think, oh, well, hey, you guys are just trying to run stuff. It's not always like that. So I'm a proponent for AAU, obviously, because I'm a little biased because I coached it. And I had, before I took this job, it was probably the most fun that I ever had coaching AAU.
Got you, man. Got you. So you kind of touched on it. One of the questions I was going to ask that what's a player that you actually coached? What's some of the accolades or accomplishments that they have? I think you said a couple of them went to the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a chance. Frank Mason was in the program when we coached with Team Loaded years ago. Cody and Caleb Martin, they're like my little brothers. They play with the Charlotte Hornets right now. I'm trying to think of some other guys. Devontae Kaycott just got drafted by the Los Angeles, well, didn't get drafted by Los Angeles Lakers, but he signed a two-way contract with Los Angeles Lakers. And I've got some guys that are overseas right now making a couple $1 million. Some of my guys have made it overseas as well. The guy that I was talking about is making a couple $1 million. His name is Cal Hines. I coached him at UNC Greensboro, and he's got more EuroLeague titles than any American, and he's in the history. And he's a 6'3" post player, 6'3" 5-man. Best player, best player I've ever coached. He's different, yeah. And he's over in Russia right now doing great. He's the face of EuroLeague basketball. I mean, that's basically like, for some people that don't know, that's like NBA basketball. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and that's the highest level of basketball outside of the United States. And he's won, multiple championships, got to the Final Four a bunch of times. And like I said, he's got more championships than any American. So I've coached some guys, Jared Newsom, who's at coached him at UT Martin. He was on the Dallas Mavericks training camp team. He got a chance to play in some games. And Keith Hornsby, he's had some opportunities as well, played with like the Dallas Legends, Texas Legends, the D-League team. And I've got some guys in the D-League and stuff like that. So I've been fortunate and blessed to coach a lot of guys that, had some great ability, and they worked really, really hard to get to where they are.
Yeah. What was distinct? What was, out of all the guys you mentioned, you were really good with the game of basketball as far as playing, getting those, reaching those heights. What's one commonality that all of them
Passion for the game. You don't get where you are if you don't love the game. I think a lot of times kids now, they like what the game can do for them as opposed to really loving the game. Guys that just play extremely hard, like the Martin twins, they're as competitive as anybody that I've ever been around. Kyle Hans, the one that's in Russia right now, incredible competitor, love the game, and unbelievable character as well. I mean, I think the character piece, puts a lot into it. But anything, the commonalities to all of those guys would definitely be, just the passion for the game. Like I think you have to love it on a different level to be able to have that kind of success.
have. You gotta have that work ethic. You gotta have that dog.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's some of your goals, or what's some of your ambitions? Because I know you do see something bigger in your future. So, what's some of those?
I take things day by day.
Okay.
I'm very blessed and fortunate to be where I am right now. If I have an opportunity to get back to Division I level, obviously that's something that I would like to look at. But I'm very content. I get a chance to spend an unbelievable amount of time with my family. I get to take my kids to their sporting events. I don't miss any of their sporting events, and that's important to me. And I wouldn't sacrifice at this juncture in my life, I wouldn't sacrifice that for any job or, money, prestige, or something like that. It's for me, family is extremely important. Some of the things that I love to do is I'd love to get into some of the things that you've done. I'd like to build my camps up really good. I'd like to throw some tournaments and some things like that. And obviously, hopefully when I get to that point, I'll definitely contact you and we'll talk and you can give me the blueprint on some of that stuff because you're killing it right now. But those are some of the things that I want to do. I don't say that like player development is my thing. Like, you and Terry Boykin and Fernandez, you guys are doing a really good job of training guys. I like training guys, but like I'm more on the coaching side of it and tournaments and watching kids, giving kids opportunities to be exposed. That's I think that's my passion right now. So that's something that I'm looking at doing. Obviously with the coronavirus, you have a lot of time on your hands to try to put stuff together. So, I'm putting stuff together on paper right now and I'm just trying to figure some things out. And that's something in the near future that I'm going to definitely stick my feet into.
I think it's important, man. I think writing it down is really important, man. I think in the Bible says Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so, and I see it's gonna be. I think your role there at Life University is gonna be really good. I think like how you got there, you're gonna implement those things and to see you blossom and success like that, man. So I think that's gonna be good. But yeah, I appreciate you for yeah, it's a process, man, to get it to build up a program, and I'm here to, yeah, I can. It's not easy, but it's doable, and I'm willing to open up and share, especially since we got the P days.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you, man. You're doing a great job. I'm following you, and you've got one of those kindred hearts that you really care about the kids. You're not doing it for the money, and anything that you do, from my experience, anything you do, you have passion for it and you have the heart for it. The money will come because you're not necessarily doing it for the money. And I know like you really have a heart. You've always had that, for people, and obviously, being a mentor, kids, you've always done the right thing and things of that nature, man. So continue, to build that lifted mentality, man. Continue to build it, man. I look forward to watching you do some incredible things, man.
And I appreciate it, K, man. So we'll be in contact, man. I'm
For
gonna
sure.
say this, man. I greatly appreciate you coming on.
Ah, no problem, man. A pleasure. Chop it up,
It's,
man.
it's good to connect with you, man. It's been at least 15 years since we chatted, and
Yeah, this long for sure. Yeah, for sure, man. I miss it, man. Wish we could all figure out a way to get back down to Austin Peay one year and just go to Johnny's, man, and you know what I mean. Talk about, tell some stories, tell some lies, and just have some fun, man.
For sure, man. That's all a part of it, man. And for anybody who don't know Johnny's Big Burger, that's the place.
Oh
And
man,
they take every recruit to seal the deal. Once you go to Johnny's,
it's a wrap.
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Money
Johnny got
free.
$1,000 of my money my first semester of school. Yeah, I used to look me, Nick Stapleton. You never met Larry Finch Jr., but he was my roommate at the time, and we would go breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Johnny for about 3 weeks straight.
Wow.
We get bored, we're playing video games or whatever. Man, what y'all want to do, man? It's like 1:00, man. Let's go to Johnny's. All right, let's go. So we just walked to Johnny's, and I mean, you couldn't beat it, man. So every time I go back, I do try to stop, and I took my family there, and I hyped it up. They're like, I mean, it's good, but I was like, no, you gotta get out of my car.
Man, I was telling people, I was like, man, I said, you don't know nothing about the bun and cream.
Nothing. Yep.
That right there solidified everybody. They really want it.
Yeah.
Go get that bun and cream.
It's a wrap. Yeah.
Sign it.
Yeah. It's a wrap.
So, man, hey, I'm glad you good, man. We'll be in contact, man. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Love you, brother.
Love you, bro.
All right, man.
All right.